Welcome to Session Sunday. Hi guys, it's Jack Edwards, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at passing drills for younger players. But before we get into this week's video, make sure to leave us a like and subscribe, and if you missed last week's video, click on the link above. Okay, so moving into the first part of this week's session, okay, we're going to be looking at a technical drill, okay, which is going to be splitting the group into pairs. But before we get into it, let's have a look at how many players we've got this week and the equipment that we'll be using. So in terms of players, we're going to have 10 players in total. You can adapt that for more and less players. Okay, we'll speak about that in each drill. To start with, you're going to split the group into just pairs, so 5 groups of 2. Okay, obviously you have more and less players, that's fine as well. In terms of the equipment for this week, okay, we're going to be working with balls, okay, bibs maybe for one area as well, cones, and then if you have poles or mannequins, that would be great to use for the players to try and interpret moving away from a defender. So in terms of the drill here, you only want the poles or the cones to be a maximum of 10 yards apart. Okay, we're not looking for long passes. Okay, we're trying to keep it short and sharp. You can maybe increase it if you wanted to, depending on obviously the age group that you're working with, because even though we're trying to go with younger players here, that can go from, let's say, under 6s to under 15s to even higher as well. The drills can be adaptable for all age groups. So we're going to have 3 different parts to this, so you're going to look to add progressions in. So the first one, just to start with, is just simply the players playing in, opening out and passing back to their partner. Okay, so a basic one to start. So as the player's about to receive it though, we want them to move away, okay, from the cone or the pole on a 45-degree angle to receive it. So they can receive on the back foot, take it across the other side, okay, and then their teammate will move to receive, open out, and then play again. If the coach shouts switch, okay, the players will then go the opposite way, so then they look to receive on their left foot, open out, okay, play, open out, okay, and then play. So for this, you want to be going for about 30 seconds to a minute for each time. Do it a couple of times, and then we're going to go into the progression. The first progression, okay, we'll see one player setting the ball across and one player setting the ball back. So we're going into first time passes now. So if you think the 10 yards might be a little bit too big, okay, to start with, that's fine. You might want to be in short and sharp, okay. So this player is going to play straight and this player is going to set across. So it's going to start with this player playing down, okay, moving across the other side to meet this ball, okay. If at first the players are struggling, okay, they can look to take a touch at sometimes just to get used to it. This player then comes across and receives it down here again, okay. Gets set back across, and then they come back to the other side. After a certain amount of time, okay, the players can switch over. Or if you say switch, okay, this player will then be the player setting straight down. This player will set across, and then this player will come round again to receive it, to set back across, so play around the corner. Now, our final, okay, adaptation of it, okay, so the final progression is adding the 2 first parts into the third part. So it will be the player gets, so we're going to start with this player setting across and open out. So this player for now is just playing straight back. So it's going to be set in, okay, set across. This player comes round, receives it, opens out, and then this player becomes the player who's going to set across. They will then play back into this player, who then sets across, okay, for this player to receive. They come round, they receive it here, then they open out. So once they've had a turn of setting across and open out, they will then be the player who's just playing down. The opposite player then looks to set across, come round, set across, okay, take it across and play. After a certain amount of time as well, you might want to change the angle, okay, so just so that this player's more receiving it on the left foot, the other player's receiving it on the right foot. So the main thing to remember is our movement, okay, to receive the ball, creating that space to receive, body shape, positive first touch, and then our execution of our passes. We will now move into our first animation before moving on to part 2 of this week's session. Now moving into part 2 of this week's session, we're now focusing on a drill which is looking at receiving on the back foot, okay, to then play into space, which is going to be focusing on playing into the goals, okay? So if you have small-sided goals, you can use them, kind of like the little pop-up ones. If you don't, just have cones or mannequins or poles to set out a small goal. Now you're going to split the group into 2 groups of 5, okay? So obviously, if you have more players, you can have 2 groups of 6, 2 groups of 7, and you can just like to add in extra players for passing. You can add in a defender to close players down, okay? So what the players are going to do is they're going to rotate after everyone's done 4 or 5 passes. We've got a middle area in here, okay, and we've got the outside area with the goals. So we're going to have 20 yards of width and depth, okay? And then the area in the middle, you want it to be about 6 yards, okay, in width and depth. So you don't want it to be too big, don't want it to be too small. So each player on the outside is going to have a ball, okay? And we've got 4 different angles to score in, okay? So the players will swap over as soon as this player's got the balls in the goal, okay? It's played from every angle. So the player has to move around one of the outside cones before receiving the ball. So if they're going to receive it off this player, you're trying to think, okay, where am I going to come into to receive this ball? On the back foot, open out, play into here, okay? Then they're thinking, okay, I'm going to then look to receive from someone else. So we're trying to encourage communication as well. So you've got lads or girls on the outside, call a name. So when they're coming around the pole, it's okay, it can just be, yes, I want the ball, receive it off someone, open it out, can we play in here, okay? And then it can be moving around again, so having that body shape to where they're going to receive it from. Yes, I want the ball, open out, play in, okay. And then finally it can be, yes, look to receive the ball, okay, so that body shape to receive it, that actual willingness to get on the ball, open out and play. So once they've received it from every player, one player on the outside will then swap and go in the middle, okay. And then again, they will do the same thing. So they'll look to move around, okay, receive the ball in space. They can even look to open out on the back foot there and playing there. But what we want the players to do, don't overcomplicate things. Put themselves in a position where they can see 2 or 3 goals, okay? So that when they're coming around to receive the ball, they've got options to go quickly, okay? So taking a touch and playing, taking a touch and playing. So taking this touch, we're playing, okay? We're coming around into space, we're receiving it, we're opening out, we're playing, okay? And we're coming around into space again, we're opening out, we're playing, okay? So each time we're focusing again on that body shape. So making sure that we can see where the ball's coming from, okay, and where we want to take the ball. So looking to receive on that back foot, demanding the ball, so communicating. It only takes just a little thing of shouting a player's name that you want the ball. You can even be pointing as well to where you want the ball. Okay, it's important to relay onto the players that we're focusing on a good first touch and then a good pass. Try not to overthink the pass because there's 4 different goals. Keep thinking, okay, once you play it, the first goal that you see, okay, once you've took your touch, play into there, so make a quick decision. Okay, and let's say you've already played into that goal, there might not be an option to go to. Look to turn and go an opposite way. So we're trying to encourage the players to have a positive first touch and then play. So each player can do a couple of repetitions each. Okay, so you can just go round and round all the time. If you do have more players, you could have 2 players going at once and 2 players on the outside having the ball. Let's say you had 7 players, you'd have 2 players in the middle and a defender. Okay, defender could just look to close, not tackle, but just look to put pressure on the player when they're going to receive the ball as well. We will now move into our next animation before moving on to the final part of this week's session. Okay, so moving into the final part of this week's session, we're now adding a little bit of a competition into the passing drill we're doing on. So we're focusing now on trying to score. So you can do like a point system. Whichever team scores first gets a point. Okay, if a team misses, they could maybe get a minus point as well. Every time maybe a team hits a pole when they're passing the ball, it can be a minus point as well. Just make it competitive. Obviously, we're trying to drill that into the players as well, but also still focusing on the technical side. So in terms of the setup, okay, we're just going to have 10 yards from where the goal and the players are. I can make it a little bit bigger if you want to. And then it's going to be 5 yards, okay, between each player. So it'll be 10 to here and 10 to there. So 10, 20, 30 or 35 yards in there. And in terms of the width in terms of these 2 players as well, it'll be 10 yards. So you're going 10 yards in here, 10 yards central. So you've got 10, 20, 30, and then the goals are going to be on line with there. So you can make that out just with poles, or if you do have goals to use, little small side ones, that's fine. You could even have 1 goal if you wanted to, and both teams got to play into it. So the players will look to just move up one spot, okay, each time. So if you have more players, you just have extra players waiting. So they're playing out, okay, so looking to focus on moving away, inside, out, inside, play into the goal. Whichever team does all passes first and plays it into the goal will get the point. So players will move up, players move up, players move up, players move up. You're then focusing for this player to get back as quick as they can. And then as soon as both teams are back, okay, then we will go again. So again, we're focusing on our receiving skills. You could look to swap the teams over after a certain point. So some players are receiving on different feet, so receiving on the back foot, so the right foot and the left foot. So focusing on, again, movement to receive it, positive first touch, okay? Next player, once they're receiving that ball, positive first touch, okay? Creating that space to receive it, because if they create the space and a pass comes in a little bit ahead of them, they could maybe play first time into a player, then open out and play in. So it doesn't always have to be a touch. The players are trying to put themselves in a position where they can receive the ball and play quickly. So whether that's one touch, whether that's two touch, making sure we're doing it quickly and keeping the tempo high. And what's the reward? The reward is scoring first, okay, to get a point. So obviously with younger players, that's a good incentive to have to make them want to move quicker. But also we don't want to make them overthink that and think it's got to be scoring. Whereas if they don't do it right in here with the passes and the movements, they won't get there first because they'll mess things up. Balls will end up hitting poles, it'll slow down. If we're overthinking things in terms of we're not focusing on our movements, okay, then we'll be staying too close to the poles, not receiving it well and taking too long. Okay, so important to reinstate about taking touches, okay, putting themselves in position to play first time, the execution of our passes, okay, and timing the movements to receive the ball. We will now move into our final animation before concluding this week's session. Thanks for watching this week's video. Don't forget to head over to our website where you can sign up to view all of our exclusive content. And we'll see you next week for another Session Sunday.